I remember quite well. We were introduced and she got to be on the
Thank all of you for coming down here on a Sunday afternoon to watch a little movie about a great man. I'm so thrilled to be here. This movie was an idea that I had in my living room in Brooklyn, and I went to LA and made it that was 5 years ago. So I'm really excited to be showing it in New York for the first time. And I want to thank Richard Pena of the New York Film Festival for inviting us here. And Roger?
Well, I'm just the subject of the film, so I can't comment too heavily upon it, other than the fact that I think Alex did a wonderful job. The film was invited to the Sundance Film Festival, where it played very well, and then played at the Cannes Film Festival. It's booked for the Tokyo Film Festival. It seems to be making the festival circuit, and I think it's due to the brilliance of Alex, who really did a great job making it.
Watching something like this, or just thinking about it, what were the best periods, the most, let's say, the most intense, creative, exciting periods during your life of movie making? Which would you look back at most fondly, or that those were the really good times?
Probably the 60s and 70s. The late 50s was when I started making films. Not having gone to film school, I was learning as I went, and some of the earlier films in the 50s sort of show that. In the 60s, I was sort of hitting my stride. Independent films were doing very well. And then in the 70s, I started New World Pictures, and we had an almost incredible number of extremely talented young people working for us at that time. For instance, Francis Coppola, Jonathan Demme had worked for me as an assistant, worked their way up. Martin Scorsese was one of the few who hadn't worked for me, but I'd seen an underground film he'd done in New York, and I thought it was very good. I've actually been asked this question before, and I've said there are three things that I look for. One is intelligence. I have never met a person who's been a successful writer, director, or producer who hasn't been successful. You might be not too bright and have one winner, but to be successful for a long time, you've got to be pretty bright. The second is the ability to work hard. Motion picture making is, in some respects, a glamorous experience, but it's also very, very difficult work. The third is the most difficult. It's the creative spark. With people like Francis Coppola, with Jim Cameron, who worked his way up and making model spaceships for me, you could see over a period of time how good they were. With others, such as Marty, seeing his film and talking with him, I got the feeling that he could do it.
And the point in the late 70s where you saw blockbuster movies being a big threat to you, why did you see it as a threat and competition and not some great opportunity? Can you just elaborate on that?
Well, it was partially an opportunity, and maybe threat is an overly strong word, but what I was doing and what my contemporaries and compatriots were doing, we were making certain types of films, horror films, science fiction films, exploitation films, that the majors were ignoring. We had that market totally to ourselves, and it was an extremely exciting and frankly lucrative time when I saw first Jaws I think Vince Canby, who's head lead critic for the New York Times, wrote, "What is Jaws but a big budget Roger Corman film?" He was right in one sense, but he missed something. It was a big budget Roger Corman film, but it was also better. And I recognized that, and I thought, there's no way that with our budgets, we can compete with that type of film. And I think Alan Arkish and Joe Dante referred to it. Then when Star Wars came out, because the Jaws type of film and the Star Wars type of film were exactly what we were making. And I could see that they were so successful, knowing how studio executives work. There was no question that those pictures were going to be repeated and repeated and repeated.
Over here.
Yes, Mr. Corman, I have a quick question for you. Was there any particular director that was a big influence on you?
Was there ever a big director that had a big influence on Roger?
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, one of the earliest directors, and I wouldn't say that you would see much of his work in mine, but Sergei Eisenstein, the Russian director, I think was a genius.
Well, you certainly relied on good cutting in your films, though, I can say that.
Yes, he was a master of editing. The Odessa Steps sequence in Battleship Potemkin is still one of the greatest pieces of editing ever done.
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Oh. The gentleman considers that most Roger Corman fans are older and male, and he's wondering how Alex fits into that equation.
I guess I'm an odd bird. I'm definitely a fan. I have a very broad love of film, and I'm probably not the typical girl. I mean, I made a movie about hip hop and sneakers. I just did a street art graffiti movie. I did a very boy/male fan movie. But that's my personality, and definitely in the course of making the film, probably even when I interviewed you, I think most people are like, Alex Stapleton, and hi, where's the director? And I'm like, yeah. So it's definitely something that confuses people a lot, but I think it's cool.
Absolutely.
This was a film school for me. I didn't get the chance to go to film school, so making this movie, it was like a weird thesis film for me. I learned from Roger, I think the biggest lessons were during post, we went through, like I said, the first movie was 6 hours long. Roger gave me some very cool advice. He's very well known for being a master editor and knowing how to keep the pace up and keep things moving. So he gave me some very, very, very good notes there. I think also the biggest lessons were on set during the making of Dino Shark, because I was really in the field on a Roger Corman movie, and oh my God, the stories, the things I learned. I was also helping out second unit. I was making my doc and filming some of the second unit and recording sound, and I was also in the movie.
We feel anybody who's wrong should be picked.
I think my producer, I have one of the producers, Jeff, was in the movie too. We were all kind of recruited to participate. So,
Roger, I have one final question for you. I've known you going on 40 years, I have to say. You've always looked at least 20 years younger than you are. What are your secrets to longevity and good health and good looks and mental 100% clarity through the decades?
Well, I'm slowing down a little bit, and when I look at myself in the mirror shaving, it doesn't look that good. But I think just staying working. I read somewhere that the incidence of death in men in the first year after they retire is something like 4 or 5 times as much as normal. So I figure I'm going to keep working for a long time.